Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the BiGDUG podcast. Hey, we have a really, really interesting guest this week. So we've got Rebecca Rankin, and Rebecca works for a influencer marketplace called Tribe, which we use at BiGDUG, and we find out influencers. But I'm going to introduce Rebecca, and I'm going to get her just to introduce Tribe and what she does and what the platform is, because it's so interesting for brands. Like, you guys that are not using it, you should be using it. So, Rebecca, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Luke. Thanks so much for having me. This is actually my first podcast, so it's very exciting. But yeah, just to give you a bit of insight on myself, I'm Rebecca Rankin. I'm one of the client partners in the UK team at Tribe. So we're an Australian startup launched by a guy called Jules Lund, which some of you might have heard of before. We've been in the UK market for around 4 years now. And what we are is we're a branded content marketplace. So we're a tool which enables brands and agencies to work with influencers and content creators at speed and scale. So you might hear us using like creators or influencers or content creators. Essentially, they're all the same thing. But to actually run a campaign with us, it's a super straightforward process. So as you're aware, look, it's a 5-stage build. And in there, you'll lock in exactly what you're looking for in terms of creators you want to partner with, content you're after. You also upload 6 mood board images. So that's just to give the influencers a really good style and feel of the type of content you're looking to get back. Then you'll log in content we'd love to see from you. So that's where you'd bulk out whether you wanted an in-feed or an in-feed and IG story per influencer. You guys can be as prescriptive as you like, or you can keep the brief quite open and let the influencers really put their flair on it. And then once you push that through, we've a customer success team who'll review that brief, make sure everything's super crystal clear for the influencers. And then we'll push that out into our app where all of our influencers sit. So we've got 55,000 active creators in the UK alone. And our core markets to date are the UK, US, Canada, and Australia. So then once your brief's in there, you'll get a wave of submissions coming through, basically celebrating your brand and calling out what you were after. You can jump in, review the creators, get a bit more insight into their following, their demographics, what they've done on their pages before. We'll also give you estimated averages based on their last 30 posts in terms of results you could get from that particular influencer before you head and go and partner with someone. And as simple as you just hit a tick button, schedule that post to go live, and it's easy peasy like that.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, and hopefully you can concur with that.
Oh, absolutely. So essentially, in a nutshell, it teams brands with all the amazing influencers out there on social media in a really constructed way. So you can partner with them and get the most out of them and not have to worry about scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and finding people and working out how much they're going to charge. And, it literally is just all in one place.
Totally. I think we've like flipped the traditional model on its head. So historically, or still at this minute, brands are outreaching to influencers directly, and it's super time consuming. Brand manager. So essentially what we do is we flip that, and you'll actually upload that brief and the influencers have to lean in to partner with you. And we really think that creates that really nice authenticity. But just in terms of a bit more background, our founder Jules is a big TV and radio host out in Australia. And he himself was an influencer, and he was getting approached loads by brands out there to promote their products and across his page. And when he was working with them, he just found the whole process really clunky. So from conversations getting going to T's and C's, getting paid out, making sure the content right, the captions right, he just said there was so much back and forth. And he essentially wanted to develop an app that would completely streamline that process and make it a dreamy process for brands and agencies and also for the influencers themselves. So that's kind of what we've pushed out in market. And yeah, my role is speaking with brands and agencies and helping them run really successful influencer and content campaigns at speed and scale.
Yeah, which is amazing. And, there are so many brands out there that either don't understand or don't know the power of influencer marketing. And then there are those that do and really grab onto it and really are really successful. So from your experience, like, how impactful can influencer marketing be for a brand?
Oh, fab question. Hugely. I think, like you mentioned, influencer marketing has historically sat really at that top of the funnel. So brands just say, oh, awareness and consideration. And there's a lot of education needed because they don't know, am I actually going to get bang for my buck if I push money into this? And we're slowly seeing influencer marketing really pull down that funnel, and you're going to soon be able to track conversions all within Instagram and Facebook, where it'll be, you can purchase within the app, which I am absolutely terrified for. My credit card's going to get a massive hit because I'm those people that screenshot stuff, and then I'm like, I'll go back and buy that at a later date. But soon, and already being rolled out is shoppable, like shopping basically within Instagram. So what that means is all of your details will be in there, your address, your credit card, your debit card, whatever you're using, PayPal, and it'll be as simple as 3 clicks to a purchase.
That's super scary, right?
Isn't it? So yeah, that's really exciting. And I think a lot of brands and agencies that we've been working with, that's kind of what they're really looking for in this space, and have been since I joined Tribe 2 years ago. It's something I always get asked is like, oh, but can we see like conversion and sales? Like what metrics can we get? And from working, I know we started working together when I joined in like 2019. And it's amazing to see how you guys use us to really build that brand awareness. And how you're like pushing it through, and you can include swipe up links and track which influencers are pushing you really good traffic through to your website. So it's definitely evolving. That's one of the reasons I absolutely love this space. I think it's constantly innovating. And it's mad.
I agree with you. And I think what's really interesting is that if you take the influencer marketing piece, you're going out to people who have grown a really big following. So they're good at what they do. They know their audience. They're great at creating content, which some brands can spend 10 times the amount on trying to recreate. But at the same time, those followers have a very loyal following, and they have a trusted voice. So people follow them because they trust them and they love what they do. So instead of spending all that money on, trying to create trust, just go out to people that already have that trust and align with them and get them to promote your product in a really original and authentic way. And I think that's really key, especially for us, is that authentic voice.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think that's a massive factor in this space. And maybe brands that started out working in influencer marketing weren't going for that authenticity and like real like followers and dedication to their audiences, and kind of maybe a lot of the time going for influencers that they think have really high engagement or a high reach, but don't necessarily like have that relationship with their audiences. And that's kind of what you really want in this space, essentially, is to partner with those influencers. And we've actually just released a really cool feature called Brand Fans. And basically what you can do in Tribe is create a cohort of influencers that you want to work with on an ongoing basis. So once you find those guys that really align with your brand and you want to build those long-term partnerships with, you can build those all within Tribe, and you can run private campaigns and invite those 20, 50 influencers in. So say, for example, you guys have a new product launch and you don't want it to go out to our whole host of creators, you can hit up those within your brand fan group. They'll create that content for you and it's good to go. And you know it works. You've worked with them before. Also resonates better with their audiences as well. Absolutely. It's not like a one-off post.
And so it's like creating brand ambassadors, I guess, and people that kind of really align with your brand and you love working with.
Exactly, yeah. And that'll be so important when like shoppable ads really come into play on Instagram as well, and building up that loyalty. It's going to completely change the space.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me and tell me about the journey of Tribe, because obviously influencer marketing is new. Like it's still new, there's still like new platforms, like we previously were talking about TikTok and stuff before this podcast started, and it's really exploding. And I know there's been a lot of kind of mixed press about it, but talk to me about and tell me about the journey of Tribe and how it started and how it's grown and where it's going.
Yeah. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Jules was the founder. So he's based out in Australia, obviously in Melbourne. And he really did see this gap in the market to create something that brands and agencies can use with ease and basically partner with brand advocates, ambassadors at speed and scale. So that's where it kind of originated from. And 4 years on to that, we're now a global company, which is incredible. So
is it in 4 years?
Yeah,
wow.
4 or 5 years now. Yeah, it's been absolutely mad. So I was lucky enough even to go out to our US offices in New York last year, like a year and a half. I was going to say last year. I was like, there's no way I was traveling last year. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey. And the launch of the US market's been incredible. Obviously it's a massive beast to kind of jump in and kind of dip into the market there, but it's been super successful. And we've also started hiring actually with the recent, obviously, pandemic that's going on. Like globally, we've been really transparent in hiring people in different regions now. So for example, we've just got a new marketing manager who's based out in Germany, which is great for the business. And that's been awesome to see the business grow and evolve as well. And because we're a startup, as you can imagine, things change on a regular basis. And I know probably from working with us in the last 2 years, there's been constant updates in the platform.
It's amazing, to be honest. We've been able to see so many different developments in the platform and so many new features, and has enabled us to kind of just basically do more with you guys.
Yeah. I think if I look back to when we first started running campaigns to where the platform sits now, it's absolutely incredible. And
it's very different.
Yeah. So really exciting updates. And we've also just launched the subscription offering as well for brands like yourselves who are working with us on an always on approach and want to get more value back. So with that, obviously you get a lot more features, which I know you obviously have tapped into, but like audience demographics on creators like profiles, as well as in-depth reporting. So you're getting the impression and reach data as well. On top of that, more customer success, so support. So I know a lot of in this space, there are a lot of agencies around, and they'll kind of run the full process for you. We'll then select the influencers, showcase them to you. Whereas with us, we're a self-serve platform. Even if you go for the subscription offering, you're still fully in charge of what influencers and creators you want to partner with.
There's no middleman, it's direct to creator, which I love.
Exactly. And there's a little like WhatsApp communication tool in there as well, which you can use and speak with the influencers and say, hey, love this content, can you create more, or do you mind tweaking your caption? And so it's a really easy to use platform.
Yeah, it really is. I agree. And so from that perspective then, because obviously, most businesses listen to our podcast, but lots of people do. If you're a creator, what's the creator? I mean, I know you don't work on the creator side, but you know about it, but what's the creator process? And because obviously if we talk about Miles, right? So the pool guy who we spoke to a couple of weeks ago on the BiGDUG podcast, he's had unfortunate problems working with some brands, and not UK brands, but overseas brands, where he has had issues with not being paid, right? So he's run brand campaigns and then the brands haven't paid him, and then he's not been able to get in contact with them. And however horrible that is, it happens, right? So talk about it'd be lovely for you to talk about how your platform gives creator security, because I know for a fact that it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So well, that's definitely something we caveat and we have for influencers. I think because our founder came from the creator perspective as well, it's a side of the business we really want to nurture and protect, right?
Yeah.
So when an influencer posts, they actually get paid out within 48 hours of their post going live. So we don't need to wait on brands or agencies to pay us before we can pay an influencer out. We make sure that they get that and credit for the work they're obviously doing and approval through a brand. But in terms of becoming an influencer, I'm not one, unfortunately. I get asked that all the time. I only have like 300 followers. So to be a creator on Tribe, you need to have 3,000 plus followers across your social pages, which I know you do, Luke. Congrats.
I do. Thanks.
And then once you're in there, we run an ABS check, and basically what that stands for is audience vital signs. So we'll scan your account for any fraudulent activity. So that could be follow or content originality, before we'll actually allow you into the platform to submit to briefs. Once you're actually in there as well, from a creator side, we'll actually scan your account 4 times every day. So that's every 6 hours, just to make sure if there's anything fraudulent or iffy going on, that will be flagged, and then we'll reach out to you and explain why and try and help you cleanse your account. But essentially, once you get through that stage, you'll be in our app, which is you can download from the App Store. It's completely free to download. There's no charge for an influencer, and you can start submitting to brands that you love. You probably have the products already, or you're willing to go and buy the product, or the brand would potentially send out to you as well for you to then submit to that campaign and get a win. But it's something we're hiring on our community side to make sure we really nurture that side of the business, as it's obviously so important.
Of course. And did you say 55,000 UK creators or influencers? It's a huge pool of people across, I'm assuming, lots of different niches and demographics that can serve so many different brands.
100%. Yeah. So we span across 32 different categories. And there's so many niches within those. It's absolutely phenomenal. There's kind of creators out there for everything, I always say.
And for us, I think that's really interesting because we come from a very traditional B2B business background, right? So we're a warehouse shelving and racking specialist, but through the pandemic and more people wanting and more consumers wanting to buy our products, we kind of felt that the way to reach those consumers was through influencer marketing. And even for a very traditionally bedded, homegrown industrial business that is more serving towards B2B, there is still a place for influencers. And we found some amazing people on there. I mean, do you have a lot of B2B clients, or is it mainly kind of FMG and beauty and all of that? I mean, what's the mix of people?
Yeah, B2B is definitely a lot smaller pool in terms of brands that we partner with, you guys being one of them. But B2C is definitely like the biggest category for us. That being said, we've worked with loads of B2B brands as well. So for example, Churchill Insurance ran a really cool campaign with us where they wanted to get content of people taking a leap of faith and changing their insurance provider. And what they did was, it was amazing actually, because they got this awesome content of people like jumping off a cliff or just jumping between stuff. It was amazing. And they let the caption do the really heavy lifting aspect about actually what they're doing and take a leap of faith, change your provider, we're here to help. And that actually got crazy high engagement. I think it was like 7 or 8%, and our averages are normally around in this place around 2 to 3.
Okay,
so
wow.
It was a really cool campaign. So I think for B2B, it's a slightly different angle you need to go for when you're pushing the campaigns. And like you guys are doing, is make it fun and like make it kind of creative. And that's when you're going to get that bite back from audiences, especially when it can be not the most sexy product per se. But
Absolutely.
if you make it fun and engaging, it's going to work.
And that's what we do with our influencers. We create campaigns around products for alternative uses for our products, so that people can see, we've got a shelf and bay, or one that we're about to launch, which we've spoken about, is we do steel metal drums, which are used in industrial purposes. But we've had lots of people actually buying them and using them for garden planters because they've just got that industrial aesthetic. So that's what our campaign is. It's about bringing gardening and influencers together with our steel drums. But essentially, people are promoting the fact that we sell steel drums, which isn't a core product for us, but we still sell quite a lot of them. So it's just an interesting, quirky way of, driving awareness of products and shedding them in a different light.
I always love our catch-ups, Luke, because you're fun, crazy ideas going on. Like I was saying to Luke that I was catching up with the PR manager over at BiGDUG, and it was on a Zoom call, and she was like, "Yeah, I actually have an ice rink like made out of."
Oh yeah, the ice rink.
Insane. Like it's always so cool what you guys are doing in market, and I'm sure a lot of people listening will have probably seen the stuff you're doing, and you constantly working fun stuff.
We just try and put our little tagline that we've created is putting the fun into functional. We call it, we're a very functional brand, but we say we try and put the fun into it, and I guess that's what we do. And I will be the first to admit this, even on a podcast, that our products aren't sexy. Some of them are quite boring, like a shelf is a shelf, or a plastic box is a plastic box, but it's about the mystery and stuff and the excitement you create around the product, which gets people excited and engaged, as opposed to being actually excited and engaged about the actual product. Because our products are a need product, not a want product. You either need a shelf or you don't need a shelf, whereas you either want a pair of shoes or you don't want a pair of shoes. Like, you don't need £100 pair of Nike trainers, but you might want them, whereas you don't want a shelf, you need a shelf. So we kind of create that, and that's kind of where we use influencers. But yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing. I think it's really insightful for people to hear about influencer marketing.
Definitely. And I think like working with you and the journey, we've like partnered with you guys really closely now, from initially just running like self-serve one-off campaigns to now you guys being a subscriber of ours, and us really, really partnering and strategizing together on how we can get the most out of it. It's been super fun. So yeah, it's exciting to see where it's going to go, because there's heaps of updates coming, so it's exciting.
Hey. So let's say that there's people listening that run businesses and brands, even in the B2B space, and they've either not thought about influencer marketing and they've listened to this and thought maybe I should, or they think, oh, I've been thinking about it for a while, but I've not done anything. What would your advice be to dipping the toe into the influencer world?
I would recommend you go for it. Have a trial if you've got smaller budgets. we can run those in platform and trial out and see how you get on. Like I said, we are self-serve, but we're here to help as well. If you need a bit of education on this space, because I know it's new for so many people still, and we're always here to help. So yeah, if you want to find out more, like definitely get in touch with me. You can check me on LinkedIn, or my email is rebecca@tribegroup.co. I'm more than happy to chat. But yeah, my best advice would be just dip your toes in it, because brands that have done that with us are now like key accounts, and they're running always on activations, and seeing where they started from when they were really green and a bit scared of pushing budgets through, to now like completely mastering it and smashing it in market. It's incredible.
And you can start really small. Like, you don't have to spend a fortune. You can spend a couple of £1,000 and get some really amazing results.
Exactly. Yeah. So like average price per post at the minute in the UK is sitting around £200 for an in-feed. So if you had a couple of grand, you can really get a feel for the platform and also for this space and working with influencers before you obviously go ahead and invest in bigger budgets.
So say for that £200, then what's the average follow account or reach of influencers? Do you know that off the top of your head? Am I throwing that curveball your way?
Yeah, I do. So average reach on that would be 30,000. So we're a micro heavy platform. That being said, we do have macros on there, and average engagement would be around 2 to 3%, based on that as well. Obviously, it's a marketplace, so it can fluctuate.
Of course,
they're in charge of how much they charge. We've got a wee rate card in there as well, which will give them guidelines. But just roughly, if you're working with us, 1 or 2K trial budget you could try. We'd normally say around 5, and then once you really get the feel for it, you can level up.
So, do you know what's really interesting? So, we do a lot of magazine adverts and industry adverts. If you compare, say, in our space, traditional magazine adverts for circulation reach versus maybe a half-page advert or a quarter-page advert, you're going to be paying a lot more for a lot less in a magazine than you would a targeted influencer in a certain niche, right?
100%.
Because if you pay £200 for average of 30,000 reach, right? You might pay £1,000 for 18. Something I was looking earlier. It was like £1,000 for half a page spread with an 18,000 circulation. Like, you look at it's kind of like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and especially with like what's going on in the world, there are more eyes on social than there ever has been before.
Oh yes.
So it's just it's a massive space, and there's massive opportunities for brands to tap into it. So yeah, I would highly recommend anyone that's thinking about it, just give it a go.
Take the leap. Honestly, we don't regret it, and it's been one of the. It was a trial when we first started. I remember I contacting you guys and speaking to you, Rebecca, and how, as a brand, we've evolved to an always-on strategy, because it's just part of that mix within our marketing strategy that is just something that has been so successful for us, but also generates a lot of conversation, a lot of digital online conversation around us, that people have found us and placed large orders months down the line because they saw somebody on an Instagram feed, or we've even had a really big order and found out that somebody on his daughter's Instagram feed was talking about one of our products, and he ran the business and was like, oh, I didn't know about it. Like, just, it's amazing, really,
Yeah, I love hearing stuff like that. That's so cool. Yeah, because you can completely, and it transcends social media. It starts off there, but it just explodes and escalates. It's pretty electric. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and I keep harping on about this on the podcast, but the importance of UGC content. So for everybody listening, UGC is user generated content. It is, it's almost like the new hot it word, but it really is, because it's so important. Content is so important for every brand strategy, but trying to produce content at that rate that's needed for social is so difficult.
Yeah.
And one thing I love about Tribe is the fact that you can not only get an influencer to create content and post it on their channels, but you can also buy that content for your own channels and then use that and own that and distribute that, which I love.
Yeah, and there's a really cool stat on that by Facebook that it drives almost 7 times higher engagement UGC as opposed to branded content. And we're definitely seeing that with everyone we're partnering with. I think lockdowns escalated people leaning into Tribe and other platforms to get content, because obviously photo shoots, etc., have had to be cancelled. So we've definitely seen a lot of people lean into that, and you're going to get amazing different assets. So like, for example, if you're a food brand and you're going to a photo shoot setup, it's going to be kind of fairly similar, the shots you're getting. Whereas with using a platform like Tribe and working with vast amounts of creators, you're able to tap into like that diversity and get a whole spoke of content exactly with what you've briefed out and what you're after. And on the content side, the influencers, if you do run a pure play content campaign, they don't obviously post their social channels, so it's purely like content creation for brands.
Which is amazing. You're basically getting really, really amazing content really cheaply. But it is like compared to how much a brand would spend on a photo shoot and hiring a photographer and models, and like it's vastly cheaper than doing it sometimes in-house, which is just amazing. So I don't know if I have any more questions. I just think it's so interesting to talk to everybody about influencer marketing and how important it is regardless of what sector you're in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, well, I know we've spoken as well, everyone's probably wondering in their heads, maybe listening to this, about TikTok as well. It's completely booming. I'm getting asked that on every client call. They're like, so what about TikTok? It is in our roadmap, so we're speaking with those guys that hopefully onboarding them. But yeah, that is just incredible.
Crazy.
I send a look previously. I have had it, but I've had to delete it because I just go down holes on it. But it's huge opportunity for loads of brands as well.
Yeah, agreed. And you know what's really interesting as well is the shift in content. And I even think this isn't even the last year, because of the pandemic, away from really polished content to really raw, authentic content. Some videos that aren't what you would maybe even considered a couple of years ago to be really bad quality, low resolution. As a brand, I would never publish that. Are the videos that go viral? Are the videos that get the most hits? Are the videos that resonate best with people because they're real? Do you find that with some of the stuff you guys do? Is that authentic kind of content does better?
Yeah, it's obviously so real and raw, and the creators know what's going to land with their audiences if it is going on socials. 100% agree with that. And then that being said, if you did want really like slick content, you can also call that out as well. So it really depends when you're briefing out and what you're after. But yeah, we're finding like authentic, real, raw content that really resonates with brands, obviously outperforming. So yeah, it's really cool to see.
And I find that's the thing I find fascinating, because I think a lot of us now are so in tune with social media and so savvy to it that we can spot an advert a mile off.
Yeah.
Whereas a genuinely organic content creator who's really good at their job can spin a product into their content without you even realizing that they're selling it.
That's so true. And that's where there's another relatively new ad format I know we're in talks about, and with BiGDUG, but branded content ads come into play. So it's where you can use those like real authentic posts that have gone live on, for example, Instagram, and you can actually license that asset to run as an ad. And take it outside of the influencer's audience and push it through your ads manager to an ad set you might have already built in. So it's going to be way more organic in a feed as well. So that links in. If the content's organic and you can twist that into an ad, it's a win-win.
It is. It really is. It's just amazing. So anybody not using influence marketing, I hope this podcast has inspired you to go ahead and take the effort out of it and go to Tribe. Honestly, we've tried, and I've tried contacting loads of content creators individually, and it's just, unless you've got a massive marketing team, is a minefield to try and organize. So just head over to Tribe, guys, and check them out. And also have a look at BiGDUG's Instagram, because you can see most of our posts are Tribe posts, so you can see how we kind of keep that consistency. I think that's it. Unless there's anything you want to add, Rebecca, I think it's amazing.
You're all good. That was so fun. Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you guys for listening to the BiGDUG podcast. We will be back next week.